Happy birthday, sweetie. Don't say we never gave you anything. My mother, Linda, slid the cream-colored envelope across the table. It stopped right next to my slice of birthday cake, a slice I hadn't ordered, and certainly wouldn't eat because it was coconut. And I am allergic to coconut. A fact she has forgotten for 29 years. I looked at the envelope. It wasn't a card. It was too heavy. It felt like legal paperwork. I looked up at my father, Robert. He was swirling his scotch, avoiding my eyes, a smirk playing on his lips. Beside him, my older brother Trent was grinning like a shark that smelled blood. "Open it, Serena," Trent goaded, leaning over the table. "It's the gift of independence. You've been begging for respect, right? Well, here it is." I picked up the silver letter opener. I sliced the seal. I pulled out a single, folded document. Notice to vacate. 30 days notice. Tenant. Serena Vance. I read it calmly. I didn't blink. I didn't cry. I looked at the date. I had exactly 30 days to leave the basement apartment of the house I had grown up in. "You're evicting me?" I asked, my voice flat. "We're launching you," Linda chirped, clapping her hands. "Trent needs the basement for his new venture. And honestly, Serena, at 29, it's embarrassing to have you downstairs. We need the space for people who are actually going somewhere." "Going somewhere," I repeated. I looked at the heavy black credit card sitting on the payment tray near my father's elbow, the card he was using to pay for this $500 dinner. The card that had my name on the internal account, but his name on the plastic. I reached for my phone. "You're right," I said softly. "It is time for a change." I opened my banking app. I tapped Manage Cards. I tapped Authorized Users. And with one single tap of my thumb, I initiated a total freeze. They thought they were kicking me out of their house. They didn't realize they had just evicted themselves from their lifestyle. To understand why my parents evicted me on my birthday, you have to understand the mythology of the Vance family. We value noise. We value flash. My father, Robert, is a real estate developer. In reality, he buys properties he can't afford, leverages them to the hilt, and prays the market saves him. My mother, Linda, is a socialite in a town that doesn't have a society. She spends money on clothes she wears once and charity galas where she drinks more than she donates. And Trent, the golden child. Trent is 32. He has ideas. He has potential. He has never held a job for longer than 6 months. Then there is me, Serena. To them, I am the fail daughter. I live in their basement suite. I drive a 2015 sedan. I wear unbranded black t-shirts and trousers. When they ask what I do, I tell them I work in risk assessment. To Linda, that means I'm an insurance adjuster. To Robert, that means I'm a glorified secretary. "Oh, Serena," Linda likes to say at parties, lowering her voice. "She's very sensible. Not everyone can be a star like Trent. Someone has to file the paperwork, right?" I never correct them. I never tell them that risk assessment means I am the founder and CEO of Blackstone Analytics, a financial intelligence firm that consults for sovereign wealth funds and multinational banks. I never tell them that my net worth is higher than the assessed value of their entire neighborhood. I never tell them that the basement I live in is a choice, a strategic choice I made 2 years ago when Dad's business almost collapsed. I moved home because they were drowning. They didn't know it, but they were weeks away from foreclosure. I stepped in quietly. I told them I found a way to fix their credit. I added them as authorized users on my Blackstone corporate account, a limitless black card they believe is a result of Dad's business rebounding. I pay the bill every month. I pay the mortgage through a shell company that bought the note from their bank. I pay the utilities. I live in the basement not because I can't afford to leave, but because I needed to be close to monitor their spending. I needed to stop the bleeding. I thought I was saving my family. I thought that if I quietly fixed the foundation, they would eventually treat me with respect. But I was wrong. They interpreted my presence as failure. They interpreted my silence as weakness. And they interpreted my money, the money they spent so freely, as their own genius. But tonight was the breaking point. Tonight was my birthday. I had flown back from a board meeting in Tokyo just for this dinner. I was exhausted. And instead of a gift, instead of a hug, they gave me an eviction notice. Because Trent wanted the basement for a podcast studio. The dinner was held at the Velvet Room. It's the kind of restaurant where the menus don't have prices and the waiters judge your shoes. My family fit right in. Linda was wearing a dress that cost $3,000, paid for by me. Trent was wearing a watch that cost $10,000, paid for by me. Dad was wearing a bespoke suit paid for by me. This wine is swill, Trent announced, swirling his glass. Dad, send it back. Get the '08. It's on the reserve list. Good call, son. Robert beamed. Waiter, take this vinegar away. Bring us the Opus 1. The waiter, a patient man named Pierre, bowed. Of course, sir. I sat silently, sipping my water. So, Serena, Linda said, turning her attention to me like a turret gun. Have you thought about where you'll go? With the eviction and all. I haven't had much time to process it, Mother, I said. It's been 5 minutes. Well, don't drag your feet, she snapped. Trent has contractors coming on the 1st. He needs the space clear. No clutter. No dusty books. It's going to be a media empire, Trent declared, mouth full of bread. The podcast is going to huge. Crypto, alpha male mindset, real estate. I need a vibe. Your depressing little cave isn't a vibe. It's my home, Trent, I said calmly. It's our house, Robert corrected, slamming his hand on the table. You're a guest, Serena. A guest who has overstayed her welcome. 2 years. My God. Most women your age are married. They have homes. You're just lingering. He looked at me with genuine disgust. Honestly, it's for your own good. We're enabling you. You need a push. You need to struggle a little. It builds character. Struggle, I repeated. Yes. Look at Trent. Robert gestured to his son. He takes risks. He puts himself out there. You play it safe. You hide. It's pathetic. The appetizers arrived. Oysters, caviar. Trent slurped an oyster loudly. You know, Serena, he said, wiping his mouth. If you need cash for a deposit on an apartment, well, I can't help you. All my capital is tied up in the brand launch. But maybe you can sell that car of yours? What is it? A 2015? You might get a couple grand. The car is reliable, I said. It's an eyesore in the driveway. Linda sighed. The neighbors talk. They ask if we have a maid living downstairs. It's humiliating. She leaned in, her eyes narrowing. That's another reason you have to go. We're upgrading our image. Your father is closing a huge deal next month. We need to look the part. And having a spinster daughter in the basement ruins the aesthetic. I felt the phone in my lap vibrate. Alert. Transaction attempted. $450. Status. Declined. That would be the second bottle of wine Trent just ordered. I looked at the waiter, Pierre. He was standing by the POS terminal near the bar. He looked confused. He swiped the card again. I looked back at my family. They were laughing. They were toasting to Trent's podcast. They were toasting to my eviction. To the future, Robert shouted, raising his glass. To the Vance Empire. To the Empire, Trent echoed. I raised my water glass. To reality, I whispered. What was that? Linda asked sharply. Nothing, Mother. Enjoy the wine. I watched Pierre walking toward our table. He didn't have the bottle of Opus 1. He had a slip of paper. He looked uncomfortable. He leaned down to my father's ear. Sir, Pierre whispered. I apologize. There seems to be an issue with the card. Robert frowned. He waved his hand dismissively. Don't be ridiculous. It's a platinum card. There's no limit. Run it again. I did, sir, Pierre said, his voice straining to remain polite. It says, frozen by administrator. Administrator, Robert laughed. I am the administrator. I am the account holder. He wasn't. He was an authorized user. I was the administrator. Here, Linda said, digging into her purse. She pulled out her gold card. Use mine. The bank probably just flagged it because of the amount. We spend so much, you know. She handed it to Pierre with a smug smile. Pierre took it. He walked back to the machine. We waited. Trent drummed his fingers on the table. Service here is slipping, Dad. Maybe we shouldn't tip. Pierre returned. He looked even more uncomfortable. Ma'am, This one is also declined. Code 04. Pickup card. Pickup card. Linda shrieked. You are not taking my card. It's bank policy, ma'am. When an account is frozen for suspicious activity, the atmosphere at the table shifted. The arrogance evaporated, replaced by a sharp, prickly heat of panic. Trent, Robert barked. Give him your card. Trent froze. I left my wallet in the car. You just showed me your new wallet 5 minutes ago, Robert yelled. Give him the card. Trent reluctantly pulled out his card. The sleek metal card I had issued him, for business expenses. Pierre took it. He didn't even walk away. He pulled out a handheld terminal. He swiped it right there at the table. Beep. A long, low, angry sound. Transaction denied. The silence was deafening. The diners at the next table were looking. This is a mistake. Robert stood up, his face turning purple. Do you know who I am? I own this town. Sir, Pierre said, his voice hardening. The bill is currently $800. Do you have a valid form of payment? Robert patted his pockets. He didn't carry cash. He considered himself above it. He looked at Linda. Linda looked at Trent. Trent looked at the floor. Then, slowly, inevitably, 3 pairs of eyes turned to me, to the failure, to the tenant, to the nuisance. Serena, Linda hissed. Do you have your debit card? The one for your little job. I do, I said calmly. Give it to him, Robert commanded. We'll pay you back. It's just a banking glitch. No, I said. Excuse me, Robert sputtered. No, I repeated. I took a sip of water. I won't give him my card. This is not the time for your selfishness, Linda screamed, forgetting to whisper. We are in a crisis. You are in a crisis, I corrected. I am finishing my dinner. You ungrateful little brat, Robert shouted. After everything we've done for you, we put a roof over your head. You just evicted me from that roof, I reminded him, pointing to the envelope on the table. That doesn't start for 30 days, Trent yelled. Right now, you owe us. I stood up. I smoothed my trousers. I picked up my phone. Actually, I said, my voice projecting clearly through the silent restaurant. I don't think I owe you anything, but you owe me. Let's see. I tapped my screen. I opened the Blackstone expense app. $48,000 for the last 3 months of credit card bills. I scrolled down. $6,000 for the lease on Trent's Range Rover. I scrolled again. And $4,000 for that dress you're wearing, Mother? Linda clutched her pearls. What are you talking about? Your father pays those bills. My father hasn't paid a bill in 2 years, I said coldly. I turned the phone around so they could see the screen. The logo at the top wasn't a bank. It was Blackstone Analytics. Under account holder, it didn't say Robert Vance. It said Serena Vance. I am the administrator, I said. I am the one who pays the bills. I am the one who keeps the lights on. And 5 minutes ago, when you handed me an eviction notice instead of a birthday card, I decided to accept your gift. My gift, Robert whispered, staring at the screen. Independence, I said. You wanted me to stop lingering. Done. I froze the accounts. All of them. You can't, Trent stammered. My podcast gear. I ordered it yesterday. It's shipping. It's canceled, I said. Payment declined. Robert sank into his chair. He looked like he had been shot. You, he wheezed. You have money. I own the company, Dad, I said. The risk assessment company. I assessed the risk of this family, and I decided to liquidate the asset. But the house, Linda gasped. The mortgage. I own that too, I said. Through a shell LLC. You've been paying rent well. I've been paying rent to me. I leaned over the table. So, when you evicted me, you didn't just kick out your daughter. You kicked out your landlord. You kicked out your financier. You kicked out your safety net. Pierre stepped forward, looking at me with new respect. He recognized the tone of someone who signs the checks. Miss Vance, he asked, how would you like to proceed? I'll pay for my water, I said. And the cake I didn't eat. I pulled out a different card. A heavy, titanium card. My personal card. Put $50 on this, for the trouble, and the rest, Pierre asked. looking at the half-eaten seafood tower. I looked at my family. I looked at the sweat dripping down my father's forehead. I looked at the terror in my mother's eyes. I looked at the pathetic confusion on Trent's face. "They're the big spenders," I said. "They're the ones going somewhere. Let them pay." "We can't," Linda wailed. "Serena, please. They'll call the police." "Then I guess you better start washing dishes," I said. "It builds character. Isn't that what you said?" I picked up my purse. "Serena!" Dad shouted, grabbing my arm. "You fix this! Right now! Unfreeze the cards!" I looked at his hand on my arm. "Let go," I said. My voice was quiet, but it was terrifying. He let go. "You have 30 days, I said. "For what?" Trent asked. "To vacate my house," I said. "You gave me an eviction notice. I'm accepting it. But since I own the deed, I'm reversing it. I'm staying. You three are leaving." "You can't do that," Linda shrieked. "It's our home." "It's my investment property," I corrected. "And I have zero tolerance for non-paying tenants who destroy the property value with their attitude." I walked toward the exit. "Serena!" they screamed in unison. I didn't turn back. I walked out of the dining room and into the lobby. I could hear the chaos erupting behind me. I heard the manager being called. I heard my father shouting threats that had no teeth. I heard my mother crying about her reputation. I walked out to the valet stand. The valet ran to get my car, my 2015 sedan. It wasn't flashy, but it was paid for, and it was mine. As I waited, I saw police lights reflecting in the glass doors of the restaurant. Pierre hadn't hesitated. The Velvet Room doesn't tolerate theft. I didn't stay to watch them get arrested. I didn't need to. I drove home, to the basement. I spent the night packing, not because I was leaving, but because I was moving upstairs. The next morning, my phone was full of voicemails. From the police station, from lawyers, from Trent, begging for bail money. I forwarded them all to my legal team. "Handle it." I texted my lawyer. Eviction proceedings. Breach of contract. Theft. They were released the next day, but the damage was done. The town knew. The society Linda cared so much about knew she had been arrested for dining and dashing. Their reputation was incinerated. They moved out 28 days later. It was ugly. They took the curtains. They took the light bulbs. They tried to take the copper wiring, but my security team stopped them. They are currently living in a 2-bedroom apartment on the other side of town. Trent works at a gym now. He sells memberships. He doesn't have a podcast. My parents are living off Social Security. My father tried to sue me for the house, but the paper trail was ironclad. He lost, and he had to pay my legal fees. I renovated the house. I turned the basement, my old cave, into a wine cellar. And the master bedroom? I sleep there now. It's quiet. It's spacious. And every morning, I wake up and realize that the most expensive thing I ever paid for wasn't the house, or the bills, or the bailouts. It was my freedom. And it was worth every penny. If you enjoyed this story of financial karma, hit that like button and subscribe. And remember, be careful who you hand an eviction notice to. They might just own the ground you're standing on. See you in the next one.